Victor Vescovo Adventurer reaches deepest ocean locations. BBC News. These are external links and will open in a new window. U.S. adventurer Victor Vescovo has become the first person to visit the deepest points in every ocean. His fifth and final dive in a prototype submersible was made to the bottom of the Arctic's Malloy Trench, some 5.5 kilometers (3.4 miles) below the sea surface. This followed dives during the past 10 months to the floor of the Pacific, Indian, Southern and Atlantic Oceans. The millionaire financier's team also visited the wreck of. All Mr. Vescovo's dives were made using the 12-ton deep-sea vehicle DSV limiting factor, launched and recovered from a dedicated support ship, the DSSV Pressure Drop, ironically a one-time Navy submarine hunter. The last leg of the was concluded on August 24 when the explorer reached a spot known as the Malloy Hole, which is about 275 kilometers (170 miles) west of Norway's Svalbard archipelago. The recorded depth on the solo dive was 5,550 m, plus or minus 14 m. It is the first time. Mr. Vescovo spoke of his elation and deep gratitude to the people who had worked with him. The former U.S. Navy reservist's wealth and drive have previously led him to ski to both poles and to climb the highest mountains on every continent. But it's evident when over the course of the worldwide tour, researchers deployed more than 100 landers. These are instrumental. The 5 Deeps science team says it has discovered upwards of 40 new species in the process. A large catalogue. Dr. Alan Jameson is the expedition's chief scientist. He highlighted the The DSSV pressure drop mapped the seafloor as it traversed the 5 oceans. This is being donated to the international project that seeks to chart the entire global ocean floor by 2030. Currently, but the 5 Deeps expedition has also fundamentally demonstrated the capability of the latest deep-sea technology. The hope is that the DSV limiting factor will now be followed by many more such vehicles. It's no surprise to learn that Victor Vescovo has set his sights on going into space. However, he's far from done with ocean research and expects next year to conduct further dives in previously unexplored trenches around the Pacific Rim. The American oceanographer Don Walsh made history in 1960 when he joined Jacques Piccard in making the first crewed dive to the deepest point on Earth, the Challenger Deep, part of the Pacific's Mariana Trench. Mr. Walsh Watts Atlantic Productions is making a 5-part documentary about the 5 Deeps expedition for the Discovery Channel. It's likely to air, and follow me on Twitter. MPs reject a second call from Boris Johnson for a snap election, and the suspension of Parliament begins. Coping with mental illness as a new parent. Sign up for our newsletter.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.